Have you ever found yourself reacting in a way that feels so much bigger than the moment you're in? Maybe someone makes a small comment. Maybe something tiny goes wrong. And suddenly you're feeling hurt, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling defensive. Maybe you even feel shut down. And afterwards you have these thoughts like, why am I like this? Why can't I stay calm? What's wrong with me? I want you to hear this clearly. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not dramatic. You're not sensitive. You're not broken. This is a very real, very human reason why your emotions sometimes responded a 10 when the situation was only a 2. And when you understand why it happens, you stop feeling ashamed and you start gaining control. My name is Monique Rhodes. I'm a happiness strategist. I've helped thousands of people all over the world for 2 decades reach their happiness. So let's start by redefining what an overreaction truly means, because the word itself is harsh. Makes it sound like your emotions are wrong or disproportionate. But the truth is, an overreaction can simply be this. A present moment triggers an emotional response that belongs to the past. So your brain isn't reacting to what happened, it's reacting to what it remembers. So this is why 2 people can experience the same moment and have completely different emotional responses. So your reaction makes perfect sense when you understand the story that your brain thinks it's in. So your brain's number 1 job is survival, not happiness. So when something feels emotionally threatening, even slightly, your brain acts before you have time to think. A tone of voice, a look on someone's face, an unexpected change in plans, a criticism. These can activate protective systems without your permission. So here's what's happening inside. Your brain is scanning for danger 24/7. So it's doing this beneath your awareness. Then it compares what it sees now with things that have happened in the past. So it's looking for patterns. Have I felt this before? Was I safe then? And if the brain senses a similarity, it reacts absolutely instantly. All right? So your heart rate rises, your muscles tense, you might get emotionally flooded. Not because the moment's dangerous, but because your brain is predicting danger. This prediction often happens in 1/10 of a second. I always think it like, you've got your phone on off, and when someone calls, it goes immediately to voicemail, right? That's how fast this is happening in your brain. So by the time you're aware of your reaction, your nervous system's already made the decision for you. So most of your emotional wiring is being created before you were even 10 years old. So if you grew up in a home where emotions weren't safe, conflict felt threatening, love felt conditional, maybe you had to be perfect, maybe you had to stay quiet, maybe you weren't soothed, maybe for many of you, you had to walk on eggshells, then your nervous system learned certain patterns to protect you. So here's the key part. When you become an adult, these patterns don't disappear. So your brain kept them because at the time they kept you safe. So if someone today raises their voice or dismisses you or withdraws or criticizes you, your brain doesn't see a grown adult having a conversation. It sees the child that you once were, and it reacts to protect that child. So this is why your reaction feels big. It wasn't built for your adult world. It was built for your survival. So one of the biggest reasons that emotional spirals happen is because the brain hates not knowing. So when it doesn't have all the information, it fills in the gaps with stories. Someone doesn't text back, they're annoyed with me. Your partner's quiet, they're upset. Your friend cancels plans, they don't value me. None of these are facts. They're predictions often based on old wounds, always based on past experience. So your brain is making these predictions because it's really trying to keep you from being blindsided. So it's trying to prepare you for the worst. It thinks that if it can predict the pain, it can protect you from it. But what actually happens is this. You're reacting to that story in your brain instead of reality. Okay? So most emotional spirals are following a very predictable pattern. There's a trigger. So something small lights the spark. There's an interpretation. So your brain creates the story about what that trigger means. And then you have a reaction. You respond not to the trigger, but to the meaning that your brain created. So when you learn to interrupt the interpretation stage, everything changes. So when you start to feel yourself starting to spiral, there's a simple technique that can interrupt the entire reaction in just 10 seconds. Here it is. Pause just for a moment. Even 2 seconds is enough to change the pathway. Take one slow breath. Not deep, just gentle. And ask yourself one question. What story is my brain telling me right now? Not, is this story true? Not, why am I like this? But what is the story? And what this question does is it moves you out of your emotional brain and it moves you into your thinking brain. So it creates space. And in that space, you can choose your response. So when you understand what your brain is doing, everything softens. You stop blaming yourself. You stop feeling ashamed. You stop thinking you're overreacting for no reason. Big emotional reactions aren't a flaw. They're a sign that your brain has been trying to protect you for a very long time. And now you're learning a new way. So if this resonates with you and you'd like to understand exactly what's driving your emotional reactions, I would love you to come and join me in the Monique Rhodes website, where you're going to find out lots of information as to how I can help you to be happier. As always, be kind, take care, go gently in the world.